This video is for instructors who completed the online training this year whose students have had EBLI previous to the online training. So if you have a group of students who were already familiar with EBLI and had had it in previous grades or previous years, this will be the chapter for you. And what we're going to do today is some lesson planning together. So the first page of your chapter is right here, page 36. You have some general information that you can check out, and then you'll see at the bottom is that you have two different scenarios. So if you see the same students all day, you're going to start on page 37 with your planning. If you see several different classes of students who rotate throughout the day, you're going to start on page 47. Now, because scenario one is a lot more detailed and you have a lot more time with your students, and because the two scenarios are quite similar in a lot of ways, just going to focus on scenario one and plan together. For those of you that are scenario two instructors, you're going to want to print out that template and then use that and fill that one out instead of the scenario one template. So what I would have you do is print out chapters 1 and chapters 1 and 3 only. So do not print the entire book unless you really want to, because it's a little bit much, and rather than flipping back and forth, you can kind of navigate through the online or the ebook, which I'll show you how to do that. We can do that together. We'll do a lot of typing the page number in up here at the top, and you're just going to add 5 to whatever page number you're going to because of the table of contents at the beginning, and that's an easy way to kind of jump around. So you're going to want to print out chapters 1 and 3. If you haven't done that already, go ahead and pause the video, print them, and then come back to it. And then once you're back, you'll see here that every time before you go to plan, you're going to have a few notes. It's going to tell you where to find your weekly planning template. Again, this is for scenario 1 for those of you who have your students all day. You're going to fill it out following a set of directions, so we'll look at that. And then part of your weekly planning template may include an authentic lesson, and so this talks about where you can find your blank template on 57, and then there's also a sample template filled out on 55, so you can see what that looks like. So let's check out your template. So what you have with your weekly planning template, you have the 5 days up here of your whole class lessons that you'll fill in. You have your small group lesson planning area, and then you have an area to fill in independent activities for the students that are not working with you during small groups. So for planning your whole class lessons, because your students have had EBLI in the past, you're going to skip right to Infusion, which is just using all these EBLI activities and strategies within the content that you already have to teach. So what it's going to show you is all these different Infusion activities, so you can either choose 5 of the single day activities per week or a combination of single and 2 day activities. So the single day activities, again, you'll just do over 1 day. The 2 day activities, they'll take two different days, and it's going to tell you in the notes section where to find the materials you need to plan, how many words to teach, what activities you're teaching, all of that. So if we go down to our sample, you'll see that on the first day, they plan to do a 1 day activity, the listen, tally, say, and write with spelling words and vocabulary words. Then we have 2 days of an authentic lesson using regular curriculum content. So whether that be science text, social studies text, scholastic news, class novel, whatever it is, just some content that students haven't read previously, you'll plug that into your authentic lesson and plan that out. And if we look at page 57, here's your authentic lesson template, and then before that you have an actual sample so that you can see what the authentic lesson looks like all planned out, just as a reminder from the training. And this is one that comes actually directly from Bridge to Terabithia, so you can see that is there. Okay, I think we were on 43. Okay, here we go. So planning that whole class lesson, you can choose your single day activities, you can plug them in. Now if we go down to the small group planning, creating your small groups first. So there's some notes here on how to create small groups. If you've already got your small groups created, by all means use those small groups, and keep in mind, flexible grouping. So as the students grow and change and shift in their ability levels, to be open to moving those groups around so they don't necessarily stay the same. We ask that you look at your EBLI assessments that you did in the online training that you can also do at the beginning of the school year a couple times throughout the year, and use that to group your students together. Talks about working more days a week with your struggling students, fewer days a week with your higher students. So if we look down at our sample here, now I've got my groups with all 4 kids for each group. We recommend a max of 3 or 4 kids in each small group, and then the days checked that you're going to be working with them, that you're planning to work with them. So now for planning the small group lessons, you're going to have different groups. So if you have a small, like if you taught your entire class during the online training, you can ignore the group A and group B. But what we did was, in case you did a small group of students, a lower group during the online training, and then you have other students that didn't have EBLI during the online training, you're going to have slightly different lessons for each group. So this talks about group A. If you have those students who went through the training, here's where you're going to start with them. And this is you're going to fill that in here. They need those foundational skills. And again, on my notes, you see that I have the one group A, which were the ones I taught during the training, and then everybody else is B. So they're going to be doing some different stuff. They didn't have the rest of the foundational activities. So filling in those small group lessons. And then the small group independent activities. Now we do have in section 3 some independent activities that students can do that kind of go along with the EBLI activities that you're teaching. So you can see here all these different activities that you can choose from. Now you don't have to use these activities though. You can also choose to use other independent things that your students are doing there. They have homework time, or if they're working on a worksheet for class, or if they are doing the EBLI apps or whatever it is that they're working on, you can have a couple different options there. But you can see on page 46 at the bottom a few different options for each day for the independent activities for those students who are not working with you in the small groups. So go ahead and fill out your own planning template. Take that time and do that. Again, if you had the one group, that you worked with during the training and didn't work with the rest of them, be sure to differentiate that with those lessons in small group. And otherwise, scenario 2, you guys will be doing a very similar thing, except for that you have a weekly planning template, and then you also have a small group planning template. So if you are able to do whole class and small group, you can choose to do both of those. All right, and so this is going to help you through with planning out your whole class, planning out your small group for those that struggle. So go ahead and fill those out. And the reason that we included your small group, by the way, for those of you who teach several different classes, is you'll want to continue small group if you did in fact just teach a small group during the online training. And everybody else will just get the whole class instruction. I'm sorry, they won't just get the whole class instruction. That was a lie. They'll get some instruction, but it won't be as, you won't have as many foundational activities to teach them. All right, so yeah, just follow those instructions. Sorry, I misspoke there. And then now you're to your authentic lesson. So if you have questions for us as you're going through this process, please by all means email us at info@ebli.com. We're happy to help. Just wanted to give you kind of a walkthrough of your chapter so that we could plan together, and keep in mind that flexibility is key. So whatever works, and not having to reinvent the wheel, and using the structures that already work for you and in your classroom, that's a great idea. But use these strategies and use these activities plugged into the words that you're already teaching. All right, good luck.